Good morning, my friends, and welcome back to another video here from the Off-Grid Garage in brutal, hot, sweaty Australia. Thunderstorm last night, everything is wet. Now the sun is coming back and it is like sticky and muggy as hell. It is 10:30 and I've been in the pool 3 times this morning. Thankfully, we are not having this weather all the time. Yeah, and also the storm last night reminded me to remove our pool fence system today. It's just a temporary setup to test these panels, you know. And now that we are getting into storm season, it's not secure anymore there. We've got 150 amps outside, I've got the fan running and the battery is almost full. It will shut down in the next half an hour. And I did this on purpose this morning because the battery was cooled down from last night's storm. And I thought, well, I can charge on full speed this morning because until it heats up, the battery will be already full. Oh, look at this. 95 already. And we are at 34.5 degrees. Charging with 10 kilowatts from our DC system and 1.4 from the tilt system. Yeah, the battery gets far too hot for my taste here in the garage, so we will change this in January. After the Christmas break here, there will be a big change coming to the Off-Grid Garage. But today, in today's video, we want to have a look at the Jaki 100 amp hour battery, our first Jaki battery we tested here, and this is also the one we installed the knee in a while back. This is the generation 1 of the knee, which has the problem that it doesn't turn off anymore once it's turned on, or it has like a 2.5 volt voltage delta, a fixed voltage delta which you cannot change, and it keeps balancing all the way down to 2.15 volts or something, so totally crazy. I usually have turned it off and turn it only on if I need to top balance this battery, so it is actually a pure maintenance balancer. But today, it is not about the Jaki battery, it is not about the knee active balancer, No, it is about the Pace BMS, which we will remove in this battery and replace with a brand new shiny JK BMS. This is the it says it there, PB1A16S10P. So this is a 100 amp BMS with a 1 amp active balancer and obviously a 16S device. It says it on here. So this is actually the smallest JK you can get. And I bought 5 of them to test them out in my systems. And we have already tested the 200 amp version here at our Frankenstein battery. And we can see the 100 amp version has exactly the same footprint. Yeah, look at this. Beautiful. So this JK BMS should fit perfectly into the Jaki battery. So, and today's video is not so much to replace the actual Pace BMS here with the JK BMS. This we will do in a future video. It is more like getting this one connected to another 16S battery, so we can test the JK BMS in parallel with each other. Because this is something we haven't done yet, and I want to really see how these BMSs perform in parallel when they communicate to each other. How does it look like in your inverter then? How do they act if one BMS turns off? All this kind of stuff. So today, first step, we want to connect this BMS, the 100 amp JK BMS, to our Jaki battery, removing the Pace BMS. And I have chosen the Jaki battery because these communication boards here, there's one. Yeah. Because look at the communication board here from the JK BMS. It is 100% exactly super the same as from the Pace BMS. So I don't actually need to replace these communication boards because they even have the same connectors. And also all the balance cables and temperature sensors are exactly the same as in the JK BMS. So this will be just a plug and play replacement, hopefully. I don't really think it will, but let's take out the Pace BMS first and see how the dimensions are and how everything looks like. This is a 100 amp Pace BMS as well, so it should be good. So first of all, we want to disconnect all the power from the BMS. I have turned it already off. And in the second step, we need to remove the balance cables. Yeah, 1, 2. Really? They put this silicone glue onto these plugs here. Now, because it's so warm here, it starts melting. Ah, shit. So in the next step, we want to disconnect the main positive and main negative from the battery here to this area, so we don't have any power on the circuit and BMS anymore. I'm going to disconnect the knee as well. And as always, I'm just taking a rag, covering all the neighbor terminals, so just in case I slip. I'm not touching anything. So. Same with the positive. All right, very good. Okay, next 2 screws here, 2 screws on this side, and I hope there's nothing underneath. So this is the 100 amp Pace BMS, and this is the 100 amp JK BMS. And ooh, from here it looks like, ooh, do we have a winner? It looks very similar. We've got only mounting screws in the corners. There's no support down here. We also have the balance cable connectors in the same location. Battery negative here, battery negative down here, so almost the same. And the power connection of the JK has only a small offset to the Pace BMS. So this all doesn't look too bad. Funny that. The only thing which doesn't fit is the positive connector to your main positive of the battery. The Pace BMS has the male, the JK BMS has the female at the BMS side. So now here comes the big question. Does this actually fit? I think it will. Yeah, it will fit. It does. I just checked all the holes and the threads lining up underneath. Wow! That is a 1-to-1 replacement for a Pace BMS. That also means we don't need to 3D print anything for this BMS replacement. This is not good. Well, the only thing which doesn't fit is the display, of course. It's a completely different display and won't fit the JK BMS anymore. So, we know the display is not working with the JK BMS, of course, but the power button doesn't work either, because this one here is a lock-in button. Yeah, so it has 2 positions, on and off, while the button from the JK BMS is just a push button. Yeah, it only closes the contact for as long as you push it. But we can easily swap the buttons, so no big deal. And I have ordered some of the smaller 4.3-inch displays for the JK BMS as well. So they should arrive very soon. And I'm trying to make an adapter with a 3D printer. So the JK BMS display then fits into the gap of the Pace BMS display. And we should have a nice, beautiful front again. So let's see if this works. It's getting far too hot in here. Short pool break. So battery is full at 11 AM, 99%, still absorbing at 55.2 volts. And that's basically it. So we are reaching 35.6. It was on 35.7 before. It is already cooling down a bit, which is nice. And now the solar is only producing as much power as I need. Yep, this all fits. It is pretty cool. Over here, it's over there. So, Pace BMS power button removed. I think the hole is a bit too big. So, there's my opportunity to print something in 3D. Can't believe they made this the same size as the Pace BMS. It's a drop-in replacement. Ah, damn it. Pace uses M5. JK uses M6. All right, let's try this again. Beautiful. So, battery negative and power negative connected. Let's continue with the communication cables. Just clicks in. 100% the same connectors. How good is that? Let me connect the power button. And that's basically it. There you go. Look at this. Fits perfectly. As if it was made for that. There you go. Replace the Pace BMS with the JK BMS using all the original cables and communication board. So the only other thing we need to do is replacing the positive cable for the BMS, because they're using a female here while JK is using a male. Best crimper ever. Look at this perfect crimp. Yeah, of course, I'll link it down below. We need to take this all apart again when we replace the display. Alright, tightening up the main positive and the main negative, connecting the BMS positive, and then connecting these sticky balance cables again. Really clean this off here a bit. It's disgusting. Okay, so this is number 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, we're starting with number 1, number 2, 4. All right, that's it. You just need to press the button. The lights come on. The JK is alive. That is pretty cool. Obviously the display doesn't work now, but everything else is totally live now. How easy is that? I don't bother connecting the knee active balancer anymore. We don't need it. It's a JK BMS now. 2 amp active balancer. No knee ever anymore in this battery. Okay, obviously we've got an alarm here at the moment because we haven't changed the password in the BMS yet. So let's open the Jaki app and we should see, oh yeah, there it is. There it is. Look at this. This is the PB1A16S 10P and the other one is the Frankenstein battery, and it also shows us the dip switches at the end. So you can actually distinguish the BMSs even if you've got 6 or 7 the same BMSs. It shows us the 0 for this one and the 01 for the Frankenstein JK. Yeah, modify password in time. Okay, let's do this right now. The initial one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Verify. Modify password. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the new one will be okay. Successfully changed and the alarm clears. So what do we have? 16S. It shows us all these cells. We've got a cell difference of 1 millivolt only. And of course, because the knee was connected here. So we go to lithium iron phosphate 16. This is a 100 ampere hour battery. We start balancing at 3.45. Maximum balance current 1 amp. Cell OVP 3.65. 100% is at 3. I haven't updated the firmware on this one here. What are we running about? This is running the 1404. Okay, I need to connect the computer to this BMS here and update to 14.13, because only then we have the full functionality. And what do you need to upgrade the firmware on your JK BMS? You need an RS485 to USB adapter to your computer, a normal Cat5 LAN cable, plug one side into your adapter, and the other side obviously goes into your JK BMS. And you want to connect the other side of your LAN cable to one of the RS485 ports on the right. Not the one which communicates with your inverter, but the one for the internal communication. It doesn't matter which one. You open the JK computer software. Make sure you select the right COM port for your virtual RS485 to USB adapter. and the device ID you want to connect to. Hit connect, and then you can see all the data. So now the computer is connected to your JK BMS via the LAN cable. We click on these three dots, go to upload firmware, select the correct firmware. Because I have the 100 amp 1 amp active balancer BMS, I need to select this firmware. If you have the 200 amp version, you need to select this one. If you select the wrong one, you will get a notification on the screen. Device identifier is not the same. Once you select the correct file, you don't get this notification anymore. So obviously we flash to 14.13 now. Start updating. Upload firmware successful. We can close this one. We can close out of the computer software, and this is pretty much it. There's also a documentation from JK where these steps are explained in all details. I link this all down below, including the newest firmware 14.13 at the time of making this video. So we can now also disconnect the LAN cable again. We don't need it anymore. You actually only need to connect the computer if you want to upgrade the firmware. Alright, back in the mobile app, and let's go into settings. I have already changed the settings as I would set them in a productive environment. So 16 cells, 100 ampere hours, 10 millivolt deviation, start balancing at 3.45, cell OVP 3.65, the requested charge voltage, which is your bulk or absorption voltage, is 3.45. The JK BMS takes this time 16 and reports it to the inverter. We've got a state of charge 100% voltage of 3.449, so this needs to be under the requested charge voltage. Yeah, I have already requested a change for that. It's not good enough. But for the moment it works. It's not optimal, but it works. And once we reach the 3.45 volts times 16, we will wait for 1 hour to absorb. And then the voltage would go back to the requested float voltage of 3.35 times 16. And then we would stay there for 8 hours. And this is mainly to prevent another bulk or absorption charge. So basically it keeps the battery on float voltage for the rest of the day, and then in the middle of the night it changes back to bulk. So it is ready for the next morning when the beautiful sun comes up again. And of course we have to turn on charge, turn on discharge, and also turn on our float mode. If you forget to turn on the float mode, it will keep the battery on bulk absorption voltage forever until you turn on float mode. I've explained this in all details in the video, which I will link down below. But honestly, I don't think we need to set up anything in this BMS here, because this will be only the slave, and the master battery will be connected to our JK BMS. So master, slave. But then on the other hand, you want to make sure everything is correctly set up, just in case the communication breaks between the two BMSs and the master cannot monitor the situation of the slave battery anymore. So you still want to set up the charging logic in the slave BMS as well. Well, we will dive into all this in the next video, when we actually connect these two batteries in parallel and see how they work. This one here was just to replace the Pace BMS in the Jaki battery with the JK BMS, which works beautifully. I wanna get the other display in here as well at some stage. It is not a high priority because we've got Bluetooth access to this BMS, so we can change all the settings, can see all the settings, all the parameters, all the values. So the battery doesn't actually need a display. This is more like for convenience purposes, right? I need to print. Ooh, there's actually there's a red light here. Look at this, JK. There's a turn off. It does turn off. That is beautiful. Yeah, that's why we have 4 cables connected. One is the power for the ring LED. Yeah, so as I just said, a display is not really necessary with the JK BMSs because you've got Bluetooth access from the app to every single BMS. And once they're all set up and communicating with the master, there's really not much need to turn on the display for this one battery or for this one BMS, or to use Bluetooth to connect to this one BMS. Everything should just work through the master. Ah, before I forget, Jaki has got a bit of an end of the year sales at the moment. They give you 8% of these wonderful and beautiful batteries, regardless which one. The 230 ampere hour battery, or the 100 ampere hour battery, or the 100... It's not here at the moment. Or the 100 ampere hour Powerwall battery, which is wall mounted, of course. So the Powerwall at the moment is with Peter to develop the can-to-can Peter board, which should then be able to communicate with your Seplos or your Pace or your JK BMS. Still under development. I'll let you know when it's ready. So yeah, prices in Australia of these batteries have lowered by 4.5%, and on top you get the 8% discount until all the information is down below as always. They are great batteries, great build, great quality, amazing capacity, and they come with a good old Pace BMS, which you may want or may not want replaced with a JK BMS. Well, definitely possible, very easy to do, is almost a plug and play system. Okay my friends, so far this video from today, replacing the Pace BMS with the JK BMS inside the Jaki battery. As always, thank you so much for watching, thanks for all your great support here, for all these beautiful and wonderful people who have donated to the channel here as well. Keeping me cold in these conditions here, I really need it at the moment. So, and until the next video, which will come out very, very soon, when we connect the JK BMSs together. Until then, guys, you stay charged, stay cool and safe, and thanks again for watching. See you then. Bye-bye. I am definitely going back in the pool now.